Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have at last revealed what countless observers had been suspecting for months, yet nobody within Ferrari was willing to acknowledge. The fractures inside the organization have been expanding with each successive race. However, the Canadian Grand Prix represented the breaking point. This was not merely a strategic miscalculation, it was the precise moment when both of Ferrari's premier drivers, through two distinct yet equally enraged communications, revealed the total breakdown of confidence between themselves and the racing team management. And now their startling declarations regarding the squad's tactical approach are creating massive disruptions throughout the racing community. This has evolved beyond simply concerning a poor race performance. It involves two elite-level drivers publicly challenging the capabilities of those making the crucial decisions. From chaotic pit lane operations to disregarded tire condition reports, to Hamilton remaining uninformed about his racing tempo, and Leclerc being completely caught off guard by a tactical plan he had never endorsed. What transpired in Montreal signals something far more threatening for the Scuderia's future. So maintain your attention, press that thumbs up button, become a channel subscriber. Remain with us through the conclusion, because what you are about to learn regarding Ferrari's collapse in Canada could potentially transform how you perceive this complete Hamilton period. Let us examine the comprehensive catastrophe that developed for Ferrari during the Canadian Grand Prix, because what occurred in Montreal was not simply a strategic error, it was an expert demonstration of how to surrender a racing weekend through poor organization, inadequate communication, and a remarkable unwillingness to modify approaches. The weekend began poorly, the instant Charles Leclerc crashed during free practice 1, following merely 15 minutes. This situation left Ferrari with extremely limited track time and insufficient data on a racing circuit famous for its variable grip conditions. From the initial moment they faced disadvantages, yet rather than regaining position, the organization declined further during each session. Throughout qualifying sessions, Leclerc's circumstances failed to improve. He was executing a quick lap when Isaac Hadjar caused a red flag situation, compelling Leclerc to terminate his effort. Following that incident, any possibility of beginning near the leading positions vanished. He positioned himself at only 8th place on the starting grid. Meanwhile, Hamilton achieved a more successful session yet still could not challenge the top 5 positions, a concerning indication of Ferrari's single lap speed disadvantage. However, Sunday's race revealed a much more serious problem, not exclusively with the racing car, but concerning how this organization makes vital decisions during the most critical moments. Let us begin with Leclerc. Approximately during lap 30, while driving in traffic following being passed by George Russell, Leclerc communicated via radio that his hard compound tires were performing excellently, without significant wear, maintaining good traction, and providing clear evidence that an extended first stint was optimal. This represented crucial information, and it was not ambiguous. Leclerc specifically informed his engineer, "The tires are performing well." Nevertheless, despite that definitive feedback only one lap afterward, Ferrari summoned him for a pit stop. And this is where everything completely falls apart. Not only did they bring him into the pits prematurely without considering live information, but they also installed another set of hard compound tires, essentially committing to a cautious two-stop strategy while many competitors around him were attempting single stops. Leclerc's response was instant and infuriated. "Team, why did we enter the pit lane?" he declared angrily over the radio. His engineer responded, "We are executing Plan B." Leclerc expressed his displeasure openly. "I informed you the tires were performing well." That conversation represented a perfect example of everything problematic with Ferrari's racing operations. An inflexible, predetermined strategy completely separated from what the driver observes and experiences on the racing surface, an inability to adjust, an inability to pay attention. And the results were catastrophic. That additional stop placed Leclerc in the wrong sequence, trapped behind slower cars, and eventually unable to regain significant positions. What might have been a respectable 5th-place result became a disappointing, frustrating afternoon where Leclerc never appeared competitive. Following the race, his anger erupted once more. "I was certain we could execute a single stop," he informed the media. "The tire wear was not severe, and I was feeling confident. This disappointing result is partially my responsibility for the errors during the weekend. However, the racing strategy provided no assistance whatsoever." He also addressed something more fundamental, his increasing separation from the team. "It is disappointing. We lack the vehicle to achieve victories, and we are worsening the situation with these choices." And then Hamilton's situation developed. His race appeared less eventful superficially, yet was equally condemning beneath the surface. From the opening laps, it became obvious something was incorrect. He started posing increasingly puzzled questions regarding the car's handling characteristics, and most alarmingly, about the racing time differences themselves. At one moment, Hamilton transmitted, "Where did I lose 25 seconds? The answer? Absolutely nothing. Only unclear responses, no detailed explanations, merely silence and bewilderment. This involves a 7-time world champion driving without any understanding of his race position, while the team provides no information." And following the final flag, Hamilton spoke candidly. "We are not progressing quickly enough," he stated directly to journalists. "Other organizations are implementing improvements, we are not." But the most devastating moment occurred when questioned about behind-the-scenes developments. "There are numerous enhancements that must occur within the organization. I would prefer to explain what is happening, however I cannot reveal too much." Translation: the issues are not limited to the vehicle, they are systemic, structural. Ferrari's complete race day operations are dysfunctional, and now both drivers are publicly acknowledging this reality. We must remember, Hamilton joined Ferrari hoping to establish a legacy, to become the driver who ultimately returned the Scuderia to championship contention. Leclerc has remained faithful through years of disappointing performances. And now both drivers, during the same weekend, are questioning the organization's capability to succeed. It is unusual to observe this degree of public criticism from within the team, and this is not merely emotional radio outbursts. These are deliberate statements presented to media with a specific intention, to deliver a warning message, to declare, "We are dissatisfied and will not remain silent much longer." Because when both drivers lose confidence, the organizational problems become impossible to conceal, and the entire racing community notices. If Ferrari wishes to prevent complete organizational failure, changes must occur immediately. So do not consider turning away now, because what follows concerns whether Ferrari can ultimately acknowledge the severity of their current crisis, whether they possess the determination to reconstruct before the situation becomes irreversible. This is not merely another disappointing weekend. What we observed in Canada represents the confrontation of two enormous realities: a historic team burdened by its own administrative complexity, and two exceptional drivers whose patience is diminishing. Charles Leclerc has spent years providing Ferrari with understanding and support. However, now, with each failed strategic decision and each race where his input is disregarded, that devotion is weakening. And then there is Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion who departed Mercedes seeking a fresh challenge. However, what he has discovered at Ferrari is not a championship project, it is a project experiencing crisis, one filled with communication failures and confined by obsolete procedures. Both drivers are now expressing themselves openly before cameras, transmitting a message that cannot be disregarded any longer. And if Ferrari cannot respond appropriately, they will not only risk poor results, they will risk the fundamental principles this team should represent. Because understand clearly, this moment is crucial. The choices made during upcoming weeks will determine whether this organization recovers or disappears. So if you value Formula One and Ferrari's heritage, continue watching, because what is approaching could disrupt the entire field and alter the destiny of Leclerc, Hamilton, and Ferrari as we understand them. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to receive every update, because believe me, the turbulence is just starting, and the upcoming races could represent Ferrari's final opportunity for survival.